We're back for our NBA predictions here on November 17th for, again, the full Sunday slate. I believe 10 games on the docket today for the NBA, and I think we've been doing pretty well recently with our NBA predictions. We're going to continue that hopefully today again with 10 games in the association. And folks, if you haven't yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We are doing daily NBA predictions throughout the entirety of the NBA season, so make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more and leave a like. And go make sure to check out our college basketball predictions, our 5 best bets for college basketball. That is coming on the channel daily as well. This video is posted an hour before this video that you're watching right now, so go make sure to check that video out. Link is in the description down below. And go make sure to check out our NFL predictions. Again, the games are starting very soon, but go make sure to check that video out as we get on now to the first of our 10 games today. We start things off with the 12:30 game. You've got the Phoenix Suns going to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. We're taking the Suns to cover the 7.5 points, but we're taking Minnesota to outright win the game. The Suns are 9-4. They're not the same team, obviously, right now with the Kevin Durant injury, but just on paper, all right? Hear me out. Phoenix is 9-4, Minnesota 7-5. Now, I'm not picking the Suns to win the basketball game, but I do think they're able to stay somewhat competitive in this one. I get it, no Kevin Durant, probably no Bradley Beal. Josh Okogie has led the Phoenix Suns in scoring their last 2 games, which obviously is not ideal to try to win basketball games. But for the Timberwolves, excuse me, this is a team that's only won out their last 4 games. And again, I get it, the Suns, no Durant, no Beal. It's really just Devin Booker and friends, which isn't ideal. But still, the Timberwolves, it's not like they've been overly impressive, right? They had that fiasco where they lost back-to-back games in Portland. The Trailblazers are just the weirdest team. I don't understand them. They lose to Miami, and they beat Sacramento. Obviously, the game where De'Aaron Fox had 60 points, but the Timberwolves still came out on the winning side of things. Again, I think they beat Phoenix in this game. I just feel like the points, again, to cover in this one, 7.5, feels like a little too much. I get it. Phoenix has not been good without Kevin Durant, especially, and yes, with no Bradley Beal included, doesn't help them either. I completely get that. But still, I think 7.5 is just too much, is not enough for Minnesota to cover. And I get it again. Phoenix has gotten blown out in back-to-back games. The odds they get blown out, though, in 3 straight games feel kind of low. They got blown out by 23 in Sacramento, 16 in OKC. OKC's great, though. Again, going to Minnesota, I think they're able to stay somewhat competitive. I think Devin Booker, who has had 2 back-to-back off nights, has to be better. I feel like Nurkic should be playing. Josh Okogie has been giving them great production off the bench. Or actually, it's just in replacement, obviously, of Bradley Beal. I think the Suns are able to keep this within 7.5. I don't think they win the basketball game, but again, I feel like losing by more than 8, I just don't see it happening. Give me Phoenix to cover, but give me Minnesota to straight up win the game. Next up, we go to Indiana. The Pacers, man. Just a weird team right now. They are. Again, Indiana's 5-7. This is a team last year that made the Eastern Conference Finals, a team that we were very high on going into the season, and I want to still be high on the Indiana Pacers, but they make it hard for me to pick them. They really do. I don't know. They're just a weird team. They're 5-7. They have not won a game since last Sunday, where they beat the New York Knicks. They just lost to Miami in the in-season tournament on Friday, marking Indiana's first loss in the in-season tournament ever, obviously other than their finals in the in-season tournament last year against the Los Angeles Lakers. And Bam Adebayo just completely dominated that basketball game, but there's a lot of weird things in that Heat-Pacers game, all right? The second half, Kevin Love, by himself, goes on a 11-0 run for the Miami Heat. Just Kevin Love. I don't know, it was so odd. And then, of course, you got Bam Adebayo, who can't miss a shot. Tyler Hero played all right as well, but it was all Bam Adebayo last night, or 2 nights ago for the Heat. 30-11. And again, we have seen a trend and a pattern so far this season where if teams play back-to-back games in the same location, or regardless of location, but back-to-back games against the same team, usually the team that wins the first game wins the second game. So with that being said, we are throwing all logic out the window, and we're taking the Indiana Pacers to win the basketball game. I refuse to believe the Pacers start the season 5-8, and I refuse to believe the Miami Heat, who sometimes look abysmal scoring the basketball, look as good as they did on Friday night in Indiana. I just don't think they look that good again. That's the only reason I'm picking the Indiana Pacers. You know the Pacers will kind of show up. They have everyone can kind of score in this Pacers team. We're looking at Pascal Siakam. We're looking at Miles Turner. Tyrese Halliburton at points. Tyrese is finally playing up to where he should be right now. And again, Tyrese is only going to improve as the season goes on. Miles Turner, of course, we already said Benedict Mathurin. Obi Toppin's performing really well off the bench. TJ McConnell's going to give you really good run off the bench as well. I think Indiana should be fine. I don't think the Heat are able to keep that same shooting streak that they did in their last game against the Pacers. I just don't see it. Again, I don't see Adebayo draining those 4 threes in this rematch against Indiana. I just don't see it happening. Give me the Indiana. He only drained 2 threes, but it felt like more. I'm just saying. I don't think the Pacers lose back-to-back to the Heat, even though, yes, that's been the trend all season long. I think the Pacers break that trend. We're going to go with Indiana to win the basketball game. They're getting 2.5 points at home. We're going to take the Pacers to cover and obviously to win the game as well. Next up, we go to Cleveland, Ohio. You've got the only undefeated team left in basketball in the Cleveland Cavaliers, taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Obviously, the Cavs remained undefeated in their last game on a Friday night in the in-season tournament against the Chicago Bulls. They are now 14-0, and we said this again a couple of days ago. We're going to say it again. The Cavs are going to start 15-0. The big game is Tuesday night in Boston on TNT in-season tournament. The Celtics have a chance of stopping the undefeated run. Again, the Cavaliers most likely will be 15-0 going into that game. Can the Celtics stop them? If not, it is very likely the Cavs will roll into another matchup with Boston on December 1st, where it will be the 20-0 Cavaliers taking on the Boston Celtics. That's if Boston can't beat them on Tuesday in Boston. Again, we'll get to that game. It's going to be a huge game on Tuesday night. We're really excited for it, but in order to get to that spot, we need the Cleveland Cavaliers to beat the Charlotte Hornets. I don't have a doubt in my mind that they won't win this game. The spread gets a little tougher, 10.5. I think they will do it just because of the rate and the efficiency in which the Cleveland Cavaliers score. The Charlotte Hornets, we say it every game, and again, it works for them a lot of the time. They just came off a victory over the Milwaukee Bucks where, Giannis Antetokounmpo took the last shot. Eric Collins, the Hornets announcer, screams, "Great defense," when Giannis pulls up from mid-range, and Charlotte wins the basketball game. Obviously, LaMelo got fouled on that last possession. Charlotte wins the game, obviously, with the 2 free throws that ball hit. But again, we say it all the time with Charlotte. They're so one-dimensional with LaMelo Ball. That's their entire team. If you can shut down LaMelo Ball, which the Cavaliers should be able to do, they play good enough defense. They play all-around good basketball. Charlotte, I don't think, stands a chance in this game. Again, Cleveland's just got too many guys who can score. They put 144 points on the Chicago Bulls in their last game. You got Donovan Mitchell who can score. Darius Garland can score. Evan Mobley can score. Jared Allen can score. Then just the guys off the bench as well. I mean, LeVert obviously too, but you got Ty Jerome who can score. You got Georges Niang who can score surprisingly, right? I mean, there's just so many. Dean Wade plays good minutes sometimes. He can score. There's so many guys in this team who can just produce. That's why Cleveland's the best team right now in basketball. They're 14-0. No Donovan Mitchell tonight. I don't really care. Without Donovan Mitchell, I don't feel bad taking the 10.5 points here. I really don't. I still think Cleveland dominates. Guys, Darius Garland is more than capable in stepping up into a number 1 role. I'm just going to be honest with you. Garland averages 21 points a game. The reason he doesn't average 24 is because Donovan Mitchell's on the team. And I'm not complaining, again, that Mitchell's on the squad. I don't think Darius Garland's complaining either. But Garland can take over a basketball game. This is going to be Darius Garland versus LaMelo Ball. And again, obviously, Garland's going to have a better supporting cast. But I feel great about Garland being a first option today. I'm excited to see it, actually. But I think the Cavaliers are going to be fine. I think Cleveland at home should be able to cover the 10.5 points. I just don't think Charlotte's able to keep up, okay? Charlotte just played a hard-fought battle against the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday. The Cavs are coming off a day rest. I think the Cavaliers win this basketball game, and I do think they cover the spread as well. Give me Cleveland to win at home and to cover the 10.5 points as well. Next up, we go to Washington. You've got the Wizards at home against the Detroit Pistons. The Wizards are probably the worst team in the NBA right now. Let's just be honest with ourselves. They don't play defense. They can get hot shooting. Like, this is a streaky team shooting the basketball, but they just don't play defense. They don't. They give up so many points on a nightly basis to the point where it's just hard to pick them on the spread against anybody. The Detroit Pistons are surprisingly 6-8, which right now is not a bad record in the Eastern Conference. Yes, believe that. But Detroit's just much better than Washington. The Wizards, again, this is one of the teams that just doesn't play competitive basketball games. You want to look at the spread, 4.5. Have the Wizards covered 4.5 all season this year in a loss? No, they haven't. Their only 2 wins still don't make sense. They won back-to-back games against the Atlanta Hawks. And that's the same case we kind of mentioned earlier with the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat. But that's the only 2 games the Wizards have won all year. They're 2-9. Until I am proven wrong, we're not picking the Washington Wizards. And it's not because the Pistons are all that. They're not. But they're the much better team. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Blake Beasley's been great for them this season. Off the bench, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway, Jalen Duren obviously is going to do his thing on the glass as well. We are perfectly fine taking the Detroit Pistons in this game, no matter where the Washington Wizards play basketball. They could play, next to the Washington Monument. They could play, in the Lincoln Monument. They could play again at the Capital One Arena. They could play at Georgetown. They lose. It doesn't matter. They could play this game in Detroit. The Wizards just don't play competitive basketball. They don't play defense, and they get blown out in every single game they play. Again, the only 2 games where the Wizards were not blown out this season were in the back-to-back wins over the Atlanta Hawks, which still makes 0 sense because the Hawks aren't even that bad. Atlanta beat the Celtics in the in-season tournament. So make it make sense. We are going to continue to pick against the Wizards because it doesn't make sense to take the Washington Wizards. Give me the Detroit Pistons to win this basketball game. I'd expect them to dominate. I think they'd cover the 4.5 pretty easily in this one. Next up, we move on to Memphis, Tennessee, as you got the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Denver Nuggets. So, again, this game is very dependent on if Nikola Jokic plays. Obviously, the Nuggets last game, Jokic did not play in the in-season tournament where they did lose to the team that we fade a lot in the New Orleans Pelicans. But hey, picking the Lakers against the Pelicans worked yesterday. Obviously, no Pelicans game today, but wasn't great. They had to rely on, Michael Porter and whatnot and Jamal Murray to be the number 1 scorers for Denver. And obviously that's not a winning formula. Obviously, again, Aaron Gordon is injured. So, that's just not a winning combination for the Denver Nuggets. No Nikola Jokic. I'd expect Jokic to play this game. Going into that Nuggets versus Pelicans game, I kind of just assumed Jokic was going to play because it was an in-season tournament game. So maybe that does kind of mean that injury is somewhat serious, obviously. But I don't expect Jokic to miss back-to-back games. And regardless of if Jokic plays or not, I do think the Nuggets have a chance of beating the Grizzlies. Obviously, we'd love it a lot more if Jokic does play this game, which, again, I think these odds are kind of trending, in the we don't know if Jokic is going to play or not, so they're going to put the Nuggets currently as slight dogs on the road, which is fine. I think we're going to be able to capitalize on this, and we're going to take the Nuggets to win this basketball game. You look at the Memphis Grizzlies, they've lost back-to-back games. Again, they are not a bad team, even without Ja Morant. Obviously, winning their first 3 games without Ja, or in that little 3-game stretch without Ja after losing to the Nets. They beat the Lakers, beat the Wizards, beat the Trailblazers on the road in a game that I attended at the Moda Center. But back-to-back losses for the Grizzlies against the Lakers and against the Golden State Warriors. Jaren Jackson has literally done everything for this team. Zach Edey's cleaning it up, nice on the glass. Obviously, had his little run-in with Draymond Green in that Grizzlies-Warriors game on Friday night. But Jaren Jackson's been phenomenal for this Memphis Grizzlies team. I mean, Jaren Jackson, again, is playing like an all-star. He is balling this season. He's not just a defensive guy like he has been in years past. So I'll give credit to where credit is due. I just think the Nuggets are the better team here. Yes, the Grizzlies do have nights where they just completely catch fire from beyond the arc, and they literally have nights where they just don't miss. That Portland game from last Sunday, I get that. But I think Denver should be fine. With or without Nikola Jokic, I think the Nuggets have a chance. But especially with Jokic in the lineup, we are all over the Nuggets in this game. Give me Denver to win it. The line, again, plus 2.5. They are dogs. We're going to capitalize on the plus money. Give me the Denver Nuggets to go to Memphis, to the FedEx Forum, and beat the Memphis Grizzlies. Next up, we go to the Moda Center in the Rose Garden. You have got the Portland Trailblazers hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Confusing game for me, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, because the Portland Trailblazers, again, the first time I've ever watched the Portland Trailblazers in person, I went to the Moda Center and watched them play, obviously, against the Memphis Grizzlies. No Ja Morant, and Portland completely got whooped in that game. It wasn't a competitive basketball game. Sitting there watching that, I was at the game, obviously, so I put, a little more money than I probably should have on the Portland Trailblazers. It's fine. The Lions made it back for us that night. But regardless, I'm sitting there, and I literally didn't see the Trailblazers have the lead the entire night. Jeremy Grant hit a 3 to put them up 3-2. I just got in the arena for that. I heard it over again. We're walking to our seats. I hear it. Oh, Jeremy Grant hits a 3-pointer. Great. They're up 3-2. They didn't have the lead the rest of the game. The Trailblazers started that game. They had the Jeremy Grant 3, so they start off 1 for 1 from 3. Then they went to 1 for 24 from 3. They missed 23 consecutive 3-point shots. So, again, going into the 2 games against the Timberwolves, I was saying, all right, you know what? This is ridiculous, but I'm never going to pick the Trailblazers ever again. They win back-to-back games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So then my thought process is, then we're going to take the Kings to beat the Timberwolves. No, the Timberwolves beat the Kings. Guys, that's the thing. 82 games in the NBA season, what can we expect? It's ridiculous. So much random stuff happens in the association. It's the hardest sport to pick. No, I'd say it's harder than baseball. I would say it is. Regular season NBA is harder than regular season baseball. Because regular season baseball, you can read starting pitching, you can read matchups. The NBA, complete randomness. Complete randomness. Give me the Atlanta Hawks. Give me the Atlanta Hawks to win this basketball game. Again, the Hawks are on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Celtics in the in-season tournament in Boston, and then they beat the Washington Wizards in back-to-back games. They finally got over the hump against Washington. They beat Boston. Dyson Daniels has been phenomenal these last couple of games for the Hawks. Trae Young, obviously, again, the most underrated superstar in the game. You get great minutes out of guys like Jalen Johnson, like Onyeka, like Clint Capella. These guys, again, and like the first overall pick as well, and Zachary Ristisher. I like the Hawks in this game, 4.5 on the road. I don't mind it. Again, Portland's coming off this high of winning back-to-back games. Another one of these situations, by the way, no Anfernee Simons tonight for the Trailblazers at home. And also, I just refuse to believe the Trailblazers are going to win 3 straight games. Okay, and especially without Anfernee Simons, obviously, again, then they're going to go to, like, the starting lineup will look something like Scoot, Shaden Sharp, Kamara, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton's, questionable. I assume he'd play. That's what the lineup's going to look like from Portland. I don't mind their second unit. Like, watching them play, again, they were getting blown out last time I watched them play, obviously, in person. But, I was hearing this from the Portland faithful around me, too. A lot of people like the second unit a lot more for the Trailblazers than their first unit, especially because Scoot's leading that second unit, regardless. And because Robert Williams just came back, too. But, give me the Atlanta Hawks to win this basketball game. No Anfernee Simons. There goes one of your number 1 scorers. Jeremy Grant's obviously the guy right now, but Simons is obviously the number 2, or they're interchangeable. Yeah, regardless, give me the Atlanta Hawks to win this basketball game. The Hawks playing great basketball. Great basketball. I get it, the Trailblazers are playing better too, but give me Atlanta to win the basketball game and to cover the 4.5 points as well. We've got another matchup, of course, between the Knicks and the Nets, these two New York teams, and we're taking Brooklyn to cover the 9.5 points. Again, I've learned something from the season so far, and that's not to underestimate the Brooklyn Nets. We said it in their last game against the New York Knicks at the Garden. The line was something like this. I think it was like 9.5, 8.5. I believe it was in this range. We're like, all right, well, Brooklyn's too good to lose the game by that many points. I don't know when Vegas is going to learn. Don't bet against the Brooklyn Nets on the spread. Nick Claxton's out. Don't care. Brooklyn's shooting single-handedly keeps them in games. And no way the 6-6 New York Knicks should be getting 9.5 points against the Brooklyn Nets. We are going to apply the logic of the Trailblazers, like, again, them beating the Timberwolves in back-to-back games. A logic we didn't apply, obviously, with the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat, but we're going to apply that logic to this game with the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks. The Knicks should win the basketball game. They beat the Brooklyn Nets in the in-season tournament by 2 points. Jalen Brunson put up 37, but shout out to Cam Thomas, who is an elite scorer in the NBA, should be an all-star this season. He put up 43 in their loss to the Knicks, obviously, by 2 points. But again, the Nets are good enough to not get blown out. The Nets are too good to not cover the spread, especially when they get a spread like 9.5. That's ridiculous. The Brooklyn Nets are not losing this game by more than 10 points. It's just not happening. They've only had one game this season where they've lost the game by more than 10 points, or 2. The Orlando game, the second game of the season, and then the Boston game 2 games ago. The other time they played Boston, they took them into overtime. The Brooklyn Nets are too good to get blown out. I mean that. Again, I'm going to take New York to win the basketball game. I'm going to take the Knicks. Just because, again, they won the first game, and I would expect them to win the second game. But Brooklyn's shooting, we say it every day, with guys like Cam Thomas, Cameron Johnson, Dennis Schroeder. These guys are too good to get blown out. They just are. These guys, they are a sneaky good team. Are they going to make the playoffs? I don't know. But Cam Thomas alone keeps his team in basketball games. The shot creating ability out of Cam Thomas is so impressive. The way he's able to shoot the basketball, impressive as well. And everyone from 1 through 15, I know all these guys don't play, but everyone in the rotation for the Brooklyn Nets can shoot the basketball, and they give teams problems. All right, give me Brooklyn to cover, but I will take the Knicks to win the basketball game. But I do actually really like the Nets to cover this line again. Plus 9.5 feels too good to be true. Next up, we go to the United Center. You've got the Chicago Bulls hosting the Houston Rockets, and yes, we're picking against the Rockets again. I have taken the Rockets recently, so I'm not a complete Rockets hater now. I did take them to beat the Los Angeles Clippers. Same logic applies, right? In that second game against the Clippers, they played them in back-to-back games. They won both of them, okay? New little set for the Rockets, going to Chicago to take on the Bulls. We like Chicago to win this basketball game. The Bulls are, I'm not going to say due, but they've traded wins and losses for 4 games. And now, technically, this is their spot where they should win a game. But I don't mind the Bulls. I've been saying this all season long. God, I've just picked against the Bulls recently because the teams have been playing. Listen, Mavericks, Timberwolves, the Hawks, we like a lot. Cavs, Knicks, Cavs. it's hard to pick the Bulls in those spots. But now, the Bulls get a very favorable schedule coming up. Okay? They played some tough teams. They're 5-8, but now Rockets at home, winnable basketball game. We're taking the Bulls to win this one. Detroit, Milwaukee, Hawks, Grizzlies, Washington, Orlando. Okay, then it gets tough again. Boston. But regardless, they play Boston 3 times coming up in the next month. My goodness. Regardless, I think the Bulls are going to get better. I think they're going to. Again, I love Zach LaVine. I like what Kobe White's able to do. Vucevic is playing really well this season as well. And for the Houston Rockets, again, this is the team I say it every video. I'm not gonna say it anymore because I did watch their 2 Clippers games, and I am impressed. So I'm not gonna say, nothing blows me away with the Houston Rockets. I just don't feel like the Rockets are gonna keep this up the entire season. And if they do, guys, this is gonna be a team that gets like the 3 or 2 seed in the playoffs, and they get absolutely killed by a surging veteran team in the postseason. I'm just saying, if they get there. I think the Bulls get him. The game's in Chicago. I think they will be able to beat the Rockets in this game. Give me the Bulls at home. I like Zach LaVine. I like Kobe White. I like Nikola Vucevic. Give me the Bulls to win the game, and give me the Bulls to cover the 4.5 points, obviously, as well. That's a safer bet, but I do like the Bulls to straight up win the game as well on the money line. Next up, we go on to Oklahoma City. We've got the OKC Thunder taking on the Dallas Mavericks. You know how I feel about the OKC Thunder. If you've been watching the daily predictions here on the channel, you know what I think of OKC. I said at the beginning of the season, and I'm going to say it again, no center, no problem, but this is the best team in the NBA. They are. If they played the Cleveland Cavaliers, they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I get it, the Cavs are great. When do these two teams play? January 16th. Well, I don't think the Cavs are going to be undefeated for that one, but if they are, that's where it'll come to an end. The Cavs are not going that far, obviously, without losing a game. That's just not happening. But OKC's great, right? 2 losses on the season at Denver, at home against Golden State. The same game Chet Holmgren gets hurt. It's all right. Again, I've said it before. I'm a little bit concerned what this team does at the center position because of the injuries right now. Isaiah Hartenstein is still out, I do believe, yes. And of course, Chet Holmgren's out for the foreseeable future. But Jalen Williams, again, he's a 6'6" center, but he has fantasy eligibility now at center, and he's been doing all right at center. I think he did fairly well against Nurkic, and it's not like I'm not too concerned about, are the Mavericks centers going to kill Jalen Williams? Sure, on the glass, maybe 100%. 100%, I would take Derek Lively to out-rebound Jalen Williams. But scoring-wise, I'm not too concerned about Lively and Gafford just completely Gafford taking over the basketball game. Just because 6'6" Jalen Williams is there. Jalen Williams plays great defense, and he's doing exactly what the Oklahoma City Thunder are asking him to do, and he's doing it exceptionally well. Again, guys, this is the best team in the NBA. And for the Dallas Mavericks, they beat the Spurs. Before that, they lost 4 games in a row. Again, outside of Kyrie and Luka, they still struggle to find production. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is a team effort out of the OKC Thunder. The Mavericks have 2 guys. Just saying. The Thunder are the best all-around team in basketball. They're led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I like Jalen Williams a lot too. And again, they're only going to get better in about 2 months when Chet Holmgren comes back. This team is winning the NBA Finals. I feel pretty good about it. Other than, maybe the Lakers. I don't know. We'll see. But give me the Thunder to win this basketball game, and I think they will cover the line as well, which is 6.5. As we go on to our final game of the day, I don't really got much to say about this. The LA Clippers in the nightcap will host the Utah Jazz. Give me the Clippers to win, but give me the Jazz to cover the 9.5 points. The Clippers have lost 3 games in a row, back-to-back to Houston and the Thunder. Before that, they beat the Raptors by 2 points, wouldn't cover. Kings by 9 points, wouldn't cover. Blew out the Sixers, that's pre-Jared McCain takeoff, don't care. Spurs by 9, doesn't cover. Lost the Thunder, lost the Suns, lost the Trailblazers, beat the Warriors by 8, doesn't cover. Denver win 5, doesn't cover. Lost the Suns. They've covered this line once all season. It was against Sixers team that came in there. Paul George's second game. Embiid's still not playing. Jared McCain hasn't broken out yet. I'm not going to hand the Clippers. I don't think they're bad. I just don't think they're good. Again, the Norman Powell insanity run has kind of slowed down the last 2 games in those back-to-back games against Houston, which, it is what it is. James Harden was the leading scorer in back-to-back games for them. That's fine. Norman only dropped 8 points in their last game. He went 1 for 5 from 3. 3 for 11 in the entire game. Is Norman Powell going to fall off a cliff now? I don't know. Utah, they're not great, but Utah has been stringing together wins, right? I mean, they beat Chicago for their first victory, lose to Milwaukee, beat San Antonio, lose to Phoenix, beat Dallas, lose to Sacramento. But surprisingly, guys, the Jazz have played 4 really competitive basketball games back to back to back. I'm not saying they beat the Clippers, but I do think they're able to stay in this basketball game. Lauri Markkanen had a great game in Sacramento the other night. John Collins obviously hit the game winner in that Mavericks game on the only game on Thursday. The Jazz are playing better basketball, and John Collins is the reason for that. Collins has kind of taken over this Jazz team and put it upon himself to be that leader in this for this Utah squad and win Utah some basketball games. I like the Jazz to cover this line in this game. 9.5 points doesn't feel like enough, especially the way the Jazz have been playing recently. Played yesterday against the Kings, only lost by 4 points. They're able to stay competitive in that basketball game, even in a game where De'Aaron Fox put up 49 points the night after putting up 60. I think the Jazz stay in this basketball game. I think they'll lose it, but I do think they're able to keep it close and not lose the game by double digits. So give me the Clippers to win, but give me the Jazz to cover the 9.5 points. And folks, that'll do it for our NBA predictions here on November 17th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.